an invitation to presence, power, and peace. My path, your possibility. My trauma, my childhood trauma, unfolded before me in a way I never expected. It didn't scream. It didn't beg. It appeared vividly and with symbolic clarity. A massive green worm, vibrant and alive, but imprisoned inside a luxurious cage. Its thick, coiled body radiated life and energy, yet it was restricted, confined. It was me. This imagery wasn't fantasy, it was transformation. It was revelation. It was the embodiment of years of suppressed feeling and buried truth suddenly brought into focus. And then came love, not abstract poetic love, but real, grounded human love. The kind of love that doesn't flinch or flee, the kind that stays. And that love, quiet but unstoppable, shattered the cage. There was a moment, a shattering shebang, a splash of the soul, and suddenly the worm was everywhere. It exploded, not destructively, but liberatingly. It overwhelmed my senses. It dismantled my need to control, to protect, to defend. Something ancient and stuck inside me was released, and I was free. I found myself asking, why were the bridges to others pulled up? Why do we shut down connections so easily? But then I realized maybe we don't need bridges at all. Maybe the people who matter most aren't across some emotional chasm. They're already here, right beside us. The ones who love us, who stay with us when we're least lovable. They are our pillars. To my caregiver, at the retreat, and her husband, you are my heroes, but not in the cliched sense. You're not warriors in some epic tale. You're ordinary people doing extraordinary things, choosing love again and again, even when it's hard. You didn't fight fear, you cultivated connection. You showed up, you held space, and in doing so, you helped set me free. The truth I've come to understand is this: there is no fight, only the work we must do within ourselves. And that work is both humbling and transformative. I've been knocked back down to earth, but in the most beautiful way. I'm grounded, present, no longer chasing meaning, but letting it emerge naturally. I don't need to struggle anymore. I don't need to rebel, prove, or protect. For the first time, I understand, and with understanding comes rest. Tonight, I will sleep, not to escape, but to integrate. And tomorrow, I'll keep moving forward, not from compulsion, but from clarity. If dreams come to me, I'll write them down, just like I'm doing now, letting the words come, unfiltered, real, alive. Whatever rises, I'll meet it. I'll write it. That's how we move forward, by being present with ourselves and letting expression carry us where we need to go. Writing is no longer something I should do. It's something I can do. That simple truth is powerful. It's become a kind of mantra. Writing grounds me. It is a way of ordering chaos, transforming it into something that can be seen, understood, shared. The pen or the keyboard is not just a tool. It's a bridge to ourselves. And yet I know I do not do this alone. I still need my angels, my guardians of grace. And remarkably, one found me not long after Christmas. Not in some mystical vision, but in the form of a humble wooden figure. It wasn't what I expected, but somehow I recognized it instantly. It was an angel. And I knew, I had known all along, they were with me. This figure was a symbol, yes, but also a reminder you are supported. You always were. The second stage, becoming present and centered in your power. Now that I've begun to shift my paradigm to accept the unlimited and eternal nature of what I am, my next task is clear. I must become centered in that paradigm. And so must you if you're on this path too. Presence is not a luxury. It is a foundation. If we are to harness the energy of existence, what many traditions call chi, prana, life force, then we must be present enough to manage it, to hold it, to direct it with clarity. Let me offer a metaphor. Imagine a fire hose blasting at full pressure. It takes 3 or 4 trained firefighters to hold it steady, to aim it effectively. The power is simply too much for one person. Now imagine multiplying that power by infinity. That's what we're working with. That's the energy that creates the universe. That's what's available to us always. The only question is, are we centered enough to wield it? Only in presence can we drop the analytical mind, the judgments, the criticism, Presence strips away distortion. In presence, you are simply you, no masks, no defenses. That is why it is the most potent state for conscious creation. So how do we enter this state? I offer you one of the most practical and transformational tools I've ever known, the 5-strata breath method. Tool 1, the 5-strata breath method. Before we begin, I want you to know something. This method alone, yes, by itself, has the power to begin healing your pain. Emotional, physical, energetic, it doesn't matter. Breathing properly is the gateway to freedom. Most people breathe inadequately. They only access a small fraction of their lung capacity. This starves the body of oxygen, of life force, and disrupts emotional regulation. If we return to full conscious breathing, we begin to reverse the damage. We bring vitality back into the system, and we begin to feel alive again. In Hamburg, Germany, where I live and conduct my power recall work, we speak of Qi, a sacred impersonal force flowing through all things. The Indian tradition uses the term prana, referring to the cosmic energy that permeates the universe on all levels. In Hindu thought, breath is spirit. This isn't metaphorical, it's literal. When you breathe deeply, you draw in life. You align with something greater than your mind. Step-by-step guide to the 5-strata breath. Step 1, inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Use abdominal breathing. Inhale deeply into your belly, allowing it to rise. Exhale fully, letting your belly fall. Repeat this cycle and become aware of the rhythm. Step 2, equalize the duration. Match the length of your inhale and exhale. This balances the nervous system and stabilizes your mental state. You can count the seconds or simply find a natural rhythm. Step 3, expand to full capacity. Stretch the breath. Bring air all the way in until your lungs are full. Feel your diaphragm drop and your belly expand. Then exhale fully, more than you think you need to. Let the diaphragm rise, pushing out stagnant air. Step 4, iron the breath. Imagine your breath as fabric, and you're using an iron to smooth out every wrinkle. Make the transition between inhale and exhale seamless. Let the flow be continuous, unbroken. Step 5, bring love in with a smile. This might feel awkward, but try it. Bring a gentle smile to your face as you breathe. Smiling while breathing calms the nervous system and sends a powerful message to your body. You are safe. That is where healing begins. The power of shifting attention. As you focus more on your breath, something else happens. Your old thoughts, the self-limiting patterns, begin to fade. Why? Because you've withdrawn your attention from them. You've stopped feeding them. That same attention is now being used to build something new, peace, presence, and power. And that brings us to another part of the journey, the vocabulary of awareness. Language as a map to reality. Word work for the soul? Words shape our perception. They are more than symbols, they are tools. Each word you internalize is a window into a layer of experience. That's why I've committed to learning 990 foundational words, each with layers of synonyms, metaphors, and symbolic imagery. We began with 3 foundational words: existence, non-existence, substantiality. Substantiality has 5 key synonyms, each of which opens up a deeper understanding. 110. Substantiality. Pictures. In the desert, toes. Soap, soda. Nut, consonant imagery. SB. Soap, ST. Soda, NT. Nut, story. In the desert, a lone toe discovers a bar of soap, a can of soda, and a nut. It learns what it means to matter. In the middle of a blazing desert where nothing should be alive, a giant toe hops along the scorching sand, alone, dry, and slightly cracked from wandering endlessly without purpose. Suddenly, it stubs itself on something unexpected, a bar of soap, half buried in the sand like a treasure from another world. Finally, says the toe, relieved, something to clean myself with. But just as it's about to lather up, a voice squeaks from nearby. Wait, That soap's mine? The toe looks around and sees a can of soda rolling in with the wind, fizzing slightly. The soda introduces itself with great enthusiasm. You don't want to use me. I'm carbonation. I'm bubbles. I'll clean you in a whole new way. The toe, now curious and slightly amused, considers it. Soap and soda together? That's double the sparkle. Just then, a loud, gravelly voice interrupts. Buried half in the sand is a grimy, half-cracked nut, covered in dust and stuck in a hard shell. Hey! If you're doing a cleansing party, growls the nut, start with me. I'm dirtier than all of you combined. The toe, now slightly annoyed but intrigued, says, You? What does your dirt have to do with my path? The nut shrugs. I'm full of hidden stuff. You won't know who you are until you deal with someone like me. That hits the toe like thunder. The toe pauses. All right, it says, let's see what happens. With a splash of soap and a fizz of soda, the toe begins scrubbing the nut. The nut starts to crack open, literally. Its shell falls away, revealing a glowing core inside, a golden pulsing energy. Suddenly something incredible happens. The soap stops being just soap. It starts to glow with meaning. The soda stops being just a fizzy drink. It starts singing. And the toe no longer feels like a wandering lost piece. It starts to remember its purpose, connection. Together, the toe, the soap, the soda, and the now revealed nut realize they are not isolated objects. Their substantiality, their value emerges when they serve one another. The nut needed to be washed. The toe needed to learn care. The soap needed to be used. The soda needed to share its fizz. And right there in the middle of the hot, barren desert, where nothing is supposed to matter, something finally does. 110. Substantiality. Substantiality isn't just about mattering on your own. It's about interdependence, how we gain meaning and worth through connection, purpose, and mutual transformation. 120. Essentiality. Picture words. In the desert, nose, Zeus, and story. In the desert, a giant nose sniffs out Zeus having a philosophical debate with an ant about what really matters. In the silence of a wide, sun-scorched desert, a giant nose, half buried in golden sand, begins to twitch. It's not just sniffing, it's searching. This nose, dormant for centuries, has one ancient purpose: to detect the essence of things, the real stuff, what truly matters. Suddenly the nose picks up a strange scent. Ancient, electric. Following the scent trail over dunes and time, the nose comes upon a strange scene. Zeus, king of Olympus, seated calmly on a stone, arguing with a single ant. The ant stands proudly on a tiny rock, speaking with passion. And it's not thunder or spectacle that shapes the world. It's the small acts, quiet dedication, the daily haul. That's essential. Zeus scoffs, raising an eyebrow. Zeus, without vision and purpose, your effort means nothing. The essentiality lies in divine meaning, not mundane movement. Just then the nose burst into their debate, snorting dramatically. Nose, deep voice, you both chase shadows of truth. Essentiality isn't found in opposition. It is found in synthesis. The nose inhales deeply, and the desert stills. In that breath, Zeus sees devotion in the ant's persistence. The ant sees purpose in Zeus's vision, and together they realize essentiality is not about size, not about glory or grind. It's about what everything else depends on, what holds value in both the great and the small. 130. Reality. Picture words. In the desert. Moose. Rail. Story. A moose stands on a railway track in the desert, contemplating whether the track leads to truth or illusion. Picture code. 100 is the desert. 30 is the moose. RL is the railway track. Vocabulary word reality. What is real and how do we know? The track of the mind. In the middle of a windswept desert where mirages shimmer and time moves sideways, a moose stands completely still on a set of old sun-bleached railway tracks. There is no train, no sound, just heat and questions. The moose, massive and majestic, squints into the endless distance. The rails stretch so far they vanish into a wavering blur, dissolving into what might be horizon or hallucination. He mutters to himself, "Is this the way forward?" or just an echo of where someone else once walked? Do these tracks carry truth, or only the illusion of direction? As he ponders, something strange happens. The rail beneath his hooves begins to hum, a low metallic vibration like memory waking up. Suddenly the rail splits into two shimmering tracks. One veers sharply into the sky, shining, clean, promising. The other descends into the sand, twisting, rusted, uncertain. The moose looks at both, then he looks down at his own heavy hooves. Out of nowhere, a voice speaks, not from a person, but from the rail itself. Rail, soft metallic tone. What you see depends on where you're standing. What's real depends on whether you choose to walk or just wander. The moose's antlers twitch. His breath slows. He realizes the truth isn't in either track, but in the choice to move at all. Suddenly mirages rise around him, alternate versions of himself. One moose sits still forever, meditating in the heat, trying to think his way into truth. Another races forward blindly, chasing light without question. A third turns and walks backward, terrified to choose the wrong path. The real moose? He smiles. He steps off the rails entirely, not out of confusion but clarity. He walks beside the rails now at his own pace, carving his own path, glancing at the rails not as destiny but as reference. And as he walks, the desert shifts. What was barren becomes beautiful. What was blurry becomes real. 140. Personality. Picture words. In the desert. Rice, beer, sun, story. A bowl of rice and a mug of beer sit under the desert sun, talking about identity, selfhood, and purpose. Picture code. 100 is the desert. 40 is rice. BR represents beer. And SN is sun. Vocabulary word. Personality. The outer shape of the inner self. The feast in the desert. In a scorching desert, where the heat distorts reality and silence sings louder than words, two unusual travelers sit under the high noon sun. One is a steaming ball of rice, calm and scented. The other, a frosty mug of beer, effervescent, golden and slightly unhinged. They sit cross-legged, yes, both of them, on a sun-bleached rug that somehow doesn't burn. Beer bubbling. So tell me, old friend, who do you think you are? The rice doesn't answer right away. It's thinking, slowly, mindfully. Rice, warm, steady. I'm whatever is needed. Nourishment, simplicity, foundation. I don't need to shout. Beer laughs. Foam spills over the rim in excitement. Beer. Classic you, always so composed. For me, I'm the spark at the celebration, the story after the story. I'm flavor feeling freedom. Above them, the sun pulses. It's not just watching, it's listening. It begins to lower itself slightly, casting long shadows across the dunes, exposing edges the travelers didn't know they had. Sun voiced like light itself. You are both right, and both wrong. Personality is not rice, or beer, or sun. It is what emerges when all three meet and reflect. Suddenly the sand beneath them forms a mirror. They look down. The beer sees not just fizz, but sadness under the sparkle, a longing to be taken seriously. The rice sees more than stillness, it sees fear, the fear of being forgotten, overlooked, bland, and yet they smile. Beer softly. I didn't know I felt that. Rice gently. Neither did I. They turn to each other and for a moment both glow. Steam and foam rise and swirl together in the heat, dancing like essence made visible. The sun, now glowing deeper orange, speaks once more. Personality is not a mask. It is a meeting point where shadow and light shake hands. It's the spice and the substance, the performance and the pause, and with that the sun sinks a little more. The beer and rice lean back, resting in the sand, not fully changed, but deeply seen. 150. Objectivity. Picture words. In the desert. Lassi, peach, cat. Story. Lassie and a cat argue over a peach in the desert, trying to settle who's right, but only the peach knows the truth. Picture code 100. Desert. 50. Lassie, BJ, peach. CT, cat. Vocabulary word, objectivity. Truth that stands whether you agree with it or not. The dispute in the dunes. The sun blazes overhead. The desert shimmers with heat waves. And in the middle of it, where nothing should be, a strange scene unfolds. A collie named Lassie, loyal and assertive, is locked in a heated debate with a cat, sleek, smug, and utterly unbothered. Between them sits a perfect peach, soft, ripe, radiant. Lassie, stern. The peach is mine. I found it. I barked 3 times to claim it. Cat, yawning. You bark. I purr. But I stared at it first, so technically I own it. Lassie. You can't own a peach with a look? Cat. You can if you're elegant. They circle each other, tails twitching. Dust rises. Tension builds. The desert says nothing. It listens. Then, for reasons no one quite understands, the peach speaks. Peach, in a voice like velvet. Neither of you is wrong, but neither of you is right either. Lassie growls in confusion. The cat tilts its head. Peach, you see me through your desires, your instincts. But I am not your hunger. I am not your possession. I simply am. The desert breeze carries the words like a spell. The silence falls. Then the peach does something unexpected. It splits open. Inside is not just flesh in a pit, but a glowing prism pulsing softly. Lassie leans in. So does the cat. They don't fight now. They just see. In the prism, they catch glimpses. The peach alone in the sand. The peach rotting untouched. The peach being shared. The peach never existing at all. Each image is equally real, equally possible. And suddenly they understand. Lassie, softly. We argued over what we wanted to be true. Cat, nodding. But truth doesn't ask for our opinions. The peach closes again. Whole. Still. Unmoved. They sit beside it now, no longer as competitors, but as witnesses. And the desert? It exhales quietly like it's seen this many times before. 160. The last keyword for today is materiality. At index 3290, picture words. You literally can taste nutmeg. Bus. Maid. Rally. Story. A chambermaid on a bus to a rally tastes nutmeg and remembers what it means to live in the physical world. Why 3290? The encoding behind materiality. You may be wondering, why is the word materiality found at index 3290? Great question, and here's how the virtual mind root system leads us there with precision. Step-by-step breakdown. Memory code for materiality. Step 1, the lexical index. The word materiality appears at index 319 in the word list. Step 2, add a 0. To anchor the story in the permanent memory sphere, we add a 0. 319 becomes 3190. Step 3, shift to the memory sphere. To place it correctly in the permanent memory sphere, we go 1 level up in the hundreds, which means adding 1 to the hundreds place. 3190 becomes 3290. Visual encoding. The picture words at 3290. Each part of the number translates into picture-based memory using the major system. Code picture meaning. 3000 taste. The base sensory trigger at the beginning of presence. 200 nutmeg. A specific strong taste activates memory and meaning. 90 bus. The environment of transition, subconscious movement. Empty made. The word's root consonants representing form, service, embodiment. RL rally. The structure, the line of collective movement and convergence. These visual anchors combine to form the living scene that encodes the word materiality in your memory, putting it all together. So, materiality is found at index 319, which transforms into 3290 for memorization. The number becomes a scene. A maid on a bus tasting nutmeg headed to a rally. Each image reflects the core of the word. The return to the physical world, to form, to substance. By telling the story and understanding the structure, you're not just memorizing a word, We're encoding a deep concept through symbolic, emotional, and narrative memory. Index 3290. Picture code 3000. Taste 200. Nutmeg 90. Bus empty. Made RL. Rally. Vocabulary word. Materiality. The world of form. The weight of presence. The invitation to be here. The nutmeg awakening. She doesn't remember how she got on the bus, only that she woke up already in motion. A chambermaid, still wearing her starched uniform and carrying a feathered duster, sits quietly by the window as the vehicle bumps and hisses through a foggy landscape that looks like a mix of dream and memory. In her lap, a small tin of nutmeg gifted to her by a stranger who whispered, "You'll need this when the moment comes." The bus is full of other passengers. A man sculpted entirely from glass who's afraid to move. A woman made of clouds who keeps drifting out the window. A child who only speaks in the past tense. None of them seem grounded. None of them seem real. She looks down at the nutmeg. She opens the tin, and without knowing why, she tastes it. It hits like fire and velvet at once. Sweet, spicy, sharp. Suddenly she's here. The buzz of the bus engine, the scratch of fabric on her neck, the weight of her feet on the floor. Sensation returns. The bus screeches to a stop. Outside, a giant crowd chants, sings, rises like a wave, a rally. But it's not political, not loud. It's a gathering of selves, people reclaiming something they forgot they lost. One by one, the passengers step off the bus. Some dissolve, some awaken, some vanish. The maid? She steps down with both feet planted. She sees her own hands and gasps, not in fear, but recognition. These are my hands, my actual hands. I clean rooms, I fold sheets, I touch the world. A voice, maybe her own, maybe the nutmeg's, whispers, "You live in a world of cloth and skin, breath and bone." That is not a burden, that is a gift. She joins the rally, not to shout, but to stand, to feel her weight, to taste her name. This is a practice, not a performance. If I can do this, if I can move from trauma to clarity, from constriction to freedom, then so can you. There's no shortcut, but there is a path, a method, a rhythm. So let's keep moving, one breath at a time, one word at a time, one realization at a time. I'm here, not above you, beside you. Let's get to it.